Kyler Murray has been a fascinating prospect ever since he committed to Texas A&M University. The dual-threat, dual-sport athlete was a rare package of sporting excellence. Tiny in stature, but loaded with talent. He has dazzled at times in the NFL for Arizona, but never quite found that extra gear to convince us all that he's the guy. From his questionable work ethic to his 5'10" frame, it's easy to find flaws in his profile, and the excuses for his lack of success are racking up. So, entering year 7 of his NFL career, is Kyler Murray's future in jeopardy? Growing up in Texas, Kyler Murray was always going to be football mad, especially as he came from a sports-centric household that immersed him in athletics from an early age. His father was a quarterback at Texas A&M in the 1980s, and his uncle played Major League Baseball, exposing young Kyler to sharp sporting brains across multiple sports. With his mother Misun being South Korean, Kyler has reminisced about how he stood out a bit as a kid, and how his mother helped him channel this into motivation for who he is today. He told KBS World English, "You know, she always told me to embrace the fact that I'm different and I'm unique. Because like I said, there wasn't many of us in the space that I was in as far as the sports world." It didn't take long for Kyler to then begin standing out in a whole different way. At Allen High School, Murray became the first player ever to be selected for both of the Under Armour All-America games in baseball and football. As a quarterback, Murray led his team to 3 straight state championships, posting a ridiculous, unbeaten 42-0 record in the process. The kid was flat out unstoppable as both a passer and a rusher, winning the Gatorade Football Player of the Year award, whilst also becoming the first player to be named Mr. Texas Football twice. That unsurprisingly made him a 5-star recruit, but the hype wasn't just reserved for football. In addition to all those accolades on the gridiron, Murray was earning a reputation as a baseball phenom as well. Already considered one of the top prospects in the 2015 MLB draft as a high schooler. Ultimately, he decided to go down the college route, enrolling at Texas A&M in 2015, where things were far from smooth. After battling Kyle Allen for the starting role as a freshman in 2015, Murray decided to transfer to Oklahoma, where he would have to sit out a year of football action due to NCAA transfer rules. He remained active by representing the Sooners baseball team, where he eventually impressed as a redshirt sophomore, posting a .954 OPS with 10 homers and 10 steals. In fact, he impressed so much that the Oakland Athletics selected him 9th overall in the 2018 MLB draft. Unfortunately, they never got to see him on the diamond though. You see, what Murray had been doing for the Oklahoma football team once he was eligible to return to action was even more impressive. After backing up Baker Mayfield during his Heisman Trophy winning season in 2017, Kyler Murray erupted onto the scene in 2018, delivering a truly sensational season to announce his arrival as a top prospect for the NFL draft as well. An easy win over Florida Atlantic got the ball rolling before Murray landed 306 yards and 3 touchdowns on UCLA to go along with 69 yards and 2 more scores on the ground. Murray was a scoring machine, tossing multiple touchdowns in all but one game, including a 6-touchdown outing against Baylor and 4 touchdowns against Texas and TCU. He also notched a hat trick of rushing touchdowns in a 55-40 win over Kansas and surpassed the 100-yard rushing mark 3 times. He was electrifying, outpacing defensive backs on long runs and bombing the ball to all pockets of the field. Then, when the pressure ratcheted up, he somehow improved. In the Big 12 championship game against Texas, he completed 73.5% of his passes for 379 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, to go along with 39 more yards on the ground. And not long after that, he contributed 415 total yards and 3 touchdowns against Alabama in the college football playoff semifinal, which the Sooners unfortunately lost by 45 points to 34. It was a frustrating end to a thrilling season, but Murray had absolutely proven himself as the most electrifying dual-threat quarterback in the nation. His 69% completion rate for 4,361 yards, 42 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions to go along with 1,001 yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground made him an easy pick to win the Heisman Trophy, along with almost every other college accolade that you can think of. Most importantly though, he had clearly displayed a level of talent that was worthy of the top pick of the 2019 NFL Draft. He had a powerful arm with good touch and timing, and his escapability and scrambling were truly elite. The primary problem was his stature. You simply don't get many quarterbacks that are 5'10", making Murray an outlier and therefore a significant risk. There were also questions about his study habits and leadership. More on that later. The Arizona Cardinals held the first overall pick in 2019, taking Murray despite having spent their 2018 first rounder on quarterback Josh Rosen, who had been a disaster as a rookie. This made Murray the first ever player to go in the first round of both the NFL and MLB drafts, whilst also being the shortest quarterback ever drafted in the first round. It was a risk for sure, but one that initially paid off. Murray hit the ground running as a rookie, posting 3,722 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions through the air, as well as 544 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He was an easy pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year, breaking several quarterback franchise records in the process, and the improvements just kept coming. As a sophomore, he improved to complete 67% of his passes for 3,971 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while logging a career-best 819 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. This earned the Cardinals QB his first Pro Bowl nod, having elevated the team to an 8-8 record in that 2020 campaign. This laid the foundations for a momentum-shifting 2021 season. Murray and the Cardinals started red hot, playing the best football the franchise had seen since their NFC Championship game appearance in 2015. A 7-0 record to open the season had the Cardinals pegged as favorites in the NFC, and Murray as the MVP frontrunner. He had 20 total touchdowns and 5 interceptions to his name at the time, shredding anyone and everyone on the ground and through the air. But then, against Green Bay in Week 8, an ankle injury derailed the entire thing. Murray missed 3 games, and when he returned, he posted a very underwhelming 2-4 record to close out the season, depriving them of the opportunity to win the division for the first time in 6 years. After posting a passer rating of over 100 in 7 of his first 9 games, he posted just 1 game with a passer rating of over 100 in his last 5. Then, in his first ever taste of playoff action, a 55% completion rate for 137 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and just 6 yards on the ground was never going to be enough to get the win. There was no way around it. It had been a disastrous playoff debut. The Cardinals' season, which had started so strong, had faded away in embarrassing fashion, and Murray was a big reason why. Former Cardinals legend Carson Palmer even criticized him for his body language, telling the Dave Pasch podcast, "The thing that concerns me is some of the leadership deficiencies that I've seen. When you're down in Detroit, even though you're faking it, you need to keep a rah-rah face on. There's just certain things you need to do as a quarterback." Despite these concerns, the Arizona Cardinals decided to sign him to a mega 5-year, $230 million extension anyway, which proved far more controversial than they would have expected. You see, the contract included a clause that Murray must do 4 hours of independent study per game week. This unsurprisingly caused a stir, as people questioned whether you should be paying so much money to a guy who requires contractual motivation to study. Perhaps this was why the team collapsed in the latter stages of the 2021 season. Eventually, the clause was scrapped, but the damage to Kyler's reputation was done, and the memes were entertaining. Unfortunately, the 2022 campaign didn't give Murray much reason to cheer up. His performances continued to be up and down, and the Cardinals managed just a 4-9 record before things went from bad to worse. In Week 14 against the Patriots, Murray suffered an ACL tear that would cut his season short with just 2,368 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions to his name. By now, the pressure was mounting as people criticized Murray's contract. Frustratingly for the Cardinals QB, it would take until Week 10 for him to be healthy enough to return the following season and try to prove the doubters wrong. However, he was clearly still not 100%, tossing 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 1,799 yards, while going 3-5 as starter. The 2023 season was the Cardinals' first with new head coach Jonathan Gannon, and the consecutive 4-13 records meant he was answering plenty of questions about the future of his franchise quarterback. Between the leadership concerns, injuries, and a lack of consistent performances when healthy, Murray was assumed to be on the hot seat, but Gannon stuck by his guy, telling reporters that he had no doubt Murray was the guy for him moving forward. Thankfully, Murray remained healthy for the 2024 season. A hot stretch of 5 wins in 6 games got the Cardinals to a 6-4 record and suggested a run for the playoffs was on the cards, only for the team to collapse in the second half of the season yet again. 2 wins from their last 7 games resigned them to an 8-9 record and no playoff football, with Murray, yet again, not proving able to get his team across the line. In 3 of those losses to close out the year, Murray threw multiple interceptions, ramping up the pressure on the franchise quarterback. He finished with 3,851 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, to go along with 572 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. These are solid enough numbers, but the persistent issues in the second half of the season are reminiscent of what has been going on throughout his entire Cardinals career. When you factor in the lack of study habits and leadership skills, you have to wonder how much patience Jonathan Gannon and the front office will have. It certainly feels like 2025 is going to be a massive year for Kyler. After 6 seasons, he has produced just 1 playoff appearance, having been the first overall pick and with a huge contract in his pocket. Another year without could very well mean curtains on his time as the team's franchise quarterback. So, do you think Kyler Murray's future is in jeopardy? Let us know in the comments.